Hi, baby. What? Oi. Okay, so the setting today is a little bit different. I just thought what a beautiful day, and it's actually relatively quieter here. So I thought I would give you a different setting, different vibe here. And if you wonder, Bob is here and holding the slipper. Of course, that's Bob. And also I wash my hair. Surprise, surprise, right? So hopefully, it's not too noisy. I don't know how this microphone will work with the noises. I've never done this before. Anyway, why am I speaking a lot of things? I don't know. Okay, so today's topic is about books. I've I've never done this before. Although I probably have talked about how to practice your writing or English speaking, especially when it comes to speaking. I probably said this before that when you read books, try to summarize verbally or something like that. But I've never done this purposely. I think I talked to my friends about books. I summarized, I kind of give my comments and give my recommendations, something like that. But I've never done this like in front of camera, and I don't know how this will turn out. And hopefully, it won't be too bad. The reason I want to talk about the book is, wow, I got nothing to talk about, so I thought I might as well just talk about a book I'm reading now. So, if you have anything going on, or if you have a book you're currently reading and you think it's a really good one, please leave a comment down below or just somewhere here. Or you have some books you've already read and you think they're really awesome. Also, don't forget to tell me and share the books you love. And yeah, start from there. In the future, I was thinking, I don't know how my workload will be like in the future. If it's not too much, I actually have an idea about having a book club. And so maybe it's something like we can share the book and start reading it and share our opinions together, once a month. Once a month, I think that won't be too stressful. So that's just my idea. Let me know if you think that's a great idea or that's just an okay idea. But if there are a lot of people actually interested in it, then I may really just make it happen. Anyway, so the book I was talking about today is Talking to Strangers. The only difficult part for me to talk about books, I think it's about the authors, their names. They're difficult to pronounce, if you know what I mean. But I'll try my best. So the author of Talking to Strangers is Malcolm Gladwell. My friend recommended this book to me a while ago, actually, probably like a year and a half, and I was really trying so hard to get into this book. I think the preface really scared me away for like several times, and then somehow this year, I think last month, not last month, yeah, the end of August, I started picking it up, and I was like, hey, once I passed a preface, this is awesome book. It's really good. So Malcolm actually collected a lot of real stories about spies, sexual assault at colleges, and terrorism, things like that. Now, I haven't done this book yet. I'm just halfway through. I think at the 59% of that. I'm amazed. Like, first of all, he's very knowledgeable, and he got all sorts of stories that, like, wow, how did you know those stories? How did you find them out? Find them, or like the way he talked about those stories, and then the way he gave comments are very, it's just really my style, and I don't like when books are too descriptive, if you know what I mean. It's like I have to describe every single detail, including what color my door is, kind of thing. I don't need that, but it's very straightforward. The language he uses here is relatively simpler, I would say, but still, I think if you're interested in criminals or spies or mysteries, this is a really good book to start with. But also, it requires a kind of a little bit higher level of the language that because there are some terminologies that really bother me and really kind of hinder me going on. But uh, it's still a good book. So the reason I wanted to talk about this book is that I really marked a lot of notes, and basically I'm just going to share some of the quotes and what I think about those quotes. So in the first chapter, they were talking about how we can't identify lies when we talk to not strangers, like someone you actually know, but just not so close. And here is one quote. I think it's really actually nice. It says, you believe someone not because you have no doubts about them. Belief is not the absence of doubt. You believe someone because you don't have enough doubts about them. So when you ask questions, something like, how do I know if I have some doubts and enough doubts? So he said here, the right question is, were there enough red flags to push you over the threshold of belief? If there weren't, then by defaulting to truth, you were only being human. So this is a spy from Cuba, and then the CIA kind of worked with this spy and kind of like helped them to get out of the community, not community, the country, something like that, uh, and here he introduces a theory. It's about default to truth. So when you see someone or when you talk to someone, your first reaction is automatically trust what he says or what she says here. And when you start doubting this person, not because you have doubts about this person, and no, let me put it this way. Okay, that truck really distracted me. When you believe this people or this person, it's not because you have no doubts at all. So that's why you believe this person. It's because you don't have enough doubts. What he said here is, for example, in relationship, okay, so you trust your boyfriend, you trust your husband, girlfriend, wife, not because you have no doubts. It's just because you kind of ignored some of the doubts. You say, she acts a little bit unusual today, or he started texting people very frequently at night, but you have the doubt, but that doubt is not enough to make you actually start to question this person, say, oh, maybe there is something that I need to find out. So that's what he says here. And then he said the right question is, where were there enough red flags to push you over the threshold to believe? So maybe your belief is here. Past this threshold, you were going to start doubting this person, but there are will there be enough red flags for you to? That is the question you need to ask about yourself. So I think that happens a lot in relationships. That you default to trust your partners, but sometimes you have like a little bit of hints, clues, and you say, I wonder if. And then you probably see this a lot on Xiaohongshu, like they ask, oh, my boyfriend has done this. Is that a sign of something? Well, a lot of people, outsiders, will tell you, well, of course, he's been a abuser, or he this is a sign of a domestic abuse, or this is a sign of cheating on you or something like that. And the person who asked the question will be like, no, maybe not, no, I think you guys are overthinking. But that's because she chose to believe all the clues are fake, and that's because all the red flags she had there didn't push her to pass the threshold of the belief. So that's why. I think that's this the quote. Another quote I really like is here, and then that's probably gonna back up my opinion about the relationship. Here he says, you ask your husband if he is having an affair, and he says no, and you believe him. Your default is that he's telling the truth, and whatever little inconsistencies you spot in his story, you explain away. But 3 months later, you happen to notice an unusual hotel charge on his credit card bill, and the combination of that and the weeks of unexplained absence and mysterious phone calls pushes you over the top. That's how lies are detected. So here explained what I said there. Probably my language was a little bit poor to explain them well, but basically what says here, you always have excuses for your partners, for someone who does bad things to you. I remember when my friend told me that uh, like she was more like complaining, not trying to get solutions from me about her partner. So I said he definitely doesn't love you as much as you do, uh, but as much as you love him. And then she didn't believe it, right? She always says, oh no, it's not true. It's just because, he's super busy. He can't care about everything. He's tried so hard, something like that. So you always explain away. Uh, but have you ever had that experience actually? um, always help other people to explain things for themselves, right? So that's the quote I really like here. So another quote he had here to explain what is default to truth is, in fact, defaulting to truth makes logic sense if the person behind the counter at the coffee shop says your total with the tax is $6.74. You can do the math yourself to double check their calculations, holding up the line and wasting 30 seconds of your time. Or you can simply assume the salesperson is telling you the truth because, on balance, most people do tell the truth. So that's what some of people would do at grocery stores, right? Some of people will really check their receipt to see whether the calculation is right, the number is right there. But some of the people was like, why do you do that? You're wasting your time, or you're holding up the line, and you're just causing problems for everybody. But some people will check. That's because they have the default to not believe this person. They only believe themselves. But for most of us, we'll be like, when we get receipt, of course, we'll put it away and then take home and then realize, and then maybe one day you take it out and then realize, oh my God, he did the wrong math there. But our first reaction is always to believe whatever the business people, salesperson told you, right? So that's what he explained the default to truth. And another one is we default to truth even when that decision carries terrible risks, because we have no choice. Society can't function otherwise. And in those rare instances where trust ends in betrayal, those victimized by default to truth deserve our sympathy, not our censure. So I think this story is about Pon's scheme, right? People trust him and then give a lot of money to him, and then he betrayed him. And when I read this quote here, especially when they say, and in those rare instances where trust ends in betrayal, that happened a lot to me, but not now. I think I learned a lot because I think in high school and university, my friendship journey was never smooth, and I always gave my full heart. Like if you ask for a 90%, I'll give you 120%. So I always fully gave myself to other people, open myself to other people too. So that's because my default is to trust them. But then when you fully trust that person, it means you are fully exposed to them and they can do whatever they want to you. And that's your decision, that's your choice. That's why now since then, yeah, and I'm always kind of carefully not fall for that, but occasionally I still make mistakes like this. So you have your roommates, your besties, and your partners, right? Can be business partners, can be our relationship partners, and you really trust them. You give everything you can, and then one day, they just turn their back to you and betrayed you, and you feel really hurt, physically and emotionally. So that's when I read this. But also, he mentioned here is we in those rare instances. So it's not always the truth, right? So it's not like everyone is like that. You will meet good people and you will become friends, and that's why friends are precious, right? Those people you trust them, they trust you, and those things like believe the trust where trust ends in betrayal is actually not common, right? It's common because it's common when you see it on social media. That's because they're rare and then there's something to talk about it. If it's really common, you wouldn't tell people every day that I eat rice because that's really common. But my friend betrayed me, my partner betrayed me, and that's rare. That's why you want to talk about it. So that's how I feel about this quote. Another one makes me really think. It says transparency is the idea that people's behavior and the demeanor, the way they represent themselves on the outside, provides an authentic and a reliable window into the way they feel on the inside. It is the second of the crucial tools we use to make sense of strangers when we don't know someone or can't communicate with them or don't have the time to understand them properly. We believe we can make sense of them through their behavior and demeanor. So I really like this a lot. And that happens a lot nowadays, especially when it comes to social media. I think for most of us, we're just normal human beings. When we judge people, when we see people, when we're trying to make sense of them, we depend on transparency, right? The way I look, the way I talk, and my opinions, my behaviors, that's how you get to know me from the distance as relatively strangers. This chapter he started talking about Friends, the show, and because in TV shows you can tell who's a bad person, who's a good person. Everything is very clear, right? And but in reality, I can't act happy, but you don't know what happened to me. I may be really sad today. Or some people doesn't have the sympathy when something bad happened. They don't really show emotions, but they're really sad inside, but they don't really show emotions, and then people think they're cruel and they don't have, they don't show their kindness, they don't have sympathy to the bad stuff. I happen to have this friend. I think there's a something really bad happened here in my city. It's a white guy killed a Muslim family, so that was kind of anti-Muslim that moment, and a lot of people were sad that they went there and they showed their, you know, um, care and sympathy. And one of my friends, she didn't. She cared a lot. We talked about a lot too, but she just not that kind of person who would show her emotion. So that's why in the group when we chat about this, and the other person texted me like she said, "Oh, she seems like she doesn't care, and she seems like she's not, it's not a big deal to her." And that's how you know that person just through the way she talks or the way she shows to you. But reality is complicated, right? You can't really just judge people based on what you think. That is transparency. So that's why I really like this quote here. And here it gives another example I really want to talk. And this is a person who was sentenced to jail for a murder, but she was innocent. The way people think she was murdered because of the way she behaved. So her name is Knox. here it says Knox had just been freed after spending 4 years in an Italian prison for the crime of not behaving the way we think people are supposed to behave after their roommate is murdered. When the murder happened, she acted like, yeah, sure, I know. My roommate was dead and brutally murdered. Nobody knows. And she had the straight face and didn't show any terrifying or really sad or horrible feelings about this murder. And people right away think she's the murderer because she did this. But in the book here, Malcolm said that she doesn't really behave that way. Some people they don't show much to other people, and that's how she behaved there. And then the way she behaved or the way she reacted to this tragedy actually made her end up in prison for 4 years and then released. And the people still thought or still think he's the murderer just because, look at her. Apparently she's a cold-hearted person, right? And then she killed that poor girl. So that's why I think sometimes transparency doesn't really happen very often in our real life. And that's why before you say something to other people, think first and then, or get to know that person more and then talk. I think that's very important. And here, one more sentence here is, and it says, with the strangers, we're intolerant of emotional responses that fall outside expectations. So my emotions, my expressions, my emotional responses don't live up to your expectations, then I'm the guy you think I am, right? So that's how this works. Another one I really, really want to talk about, actually bookmarked this page, is a sexual assault happened in a college, Stanford University, and then the girl really passed out, and then bad things happened to her. And then here Malcolm was talking about the difference between female and male, right? So we sometimes say we're the same, and he made a really good point. We have to acknowledge that there's a difference, huge difference between a male and a female. And here is what he said here. If an American male of average weight has 8 drinks over 4 hours, which would make him a moderate drinker at a typical frat party, he would end up with a blood alcohol rating of 0.107. That's too drunk to drive, but well below the 0.15 level typically associated with the blackouts. If a woman of average weight has 8 drinks over 4 hours, by contrast, she's at a blood alcohol level of 0.173 and she's blacked out. So same weight, same number of the drinks, we have a definitely different blood alcohol rating. Like it's pretty big difference. And what is the consequence of being blacked out? It means that women are put in the position of vulnerability. Our memory and any interaction with a stranger is our first line of defense. So if you decide to drink around guys and you decide to drink a lot, then you are putting yourself in danger because back then you are exposed to all kinds of risks and nobody's going to be responsible for that, especially the one who should be responsible for that, and that is you. And this reminded me another book of Notorious RBG. I really like that, and I also marked the notes there. She acknowledged the biological direct difference, but she also mentioned that biological differences don't connect with our ability, not about our function of most of the things. So she said here is there is no biological connection whatsoever between the function of giving birth to and nursing a child and the function of washing its clothes, preparing its food, and trying to bring it up to be a good and harmonious person. Both men and women have one main role, that of being human beings. So despite of all those biological differences, you and me as a woman, as a guy, there's no difference of functioning, right? So I do know I can give birth, but it doesn't mean that I have to do the rest of the work to take care of the baby. You can, as a guy, you can also get up late, in the middle of the night and feed the baby. You can wash the clothes. You can carry a lot of, housework or share the housework with your wife or something like that. At work, I can't carry a water bottle, but it doesn't mean that I'm not capable of doing things, right? I can do something else that I'm good at, and you cannot say, that's why you have a difference, that's why you can't function at work or at home in that certain way. But back to the book of talking to strangers, here is sometimes you do have to acknowledge the difference when it comes to your own safety concerns, right? So when you go to a party or when you walk home at night in a dark area, you have to realize that it's your responsibility to take care of your safety because no one else would do that for you. What I want to say that, and this really brought up a lot of ideas for me to talk about. I hope it's not too dreadful. Is I know it's your right to wear anything you want to wear, but at night in downtown, in the middle of the night, around the clubs or somewhere like somewhere there are not many people around, then I'm very cautious about what I wear because I can put myself in danger. And at that time, I have nobody to rely on but myself, right? So that's why if I have to walk home at night in the remote area, then that day I will dress not properly. I will dress conservatively to protect myself, not because trying to victim blame or victim shame. No, that's not my purpose. When bad things happen, that happened. It's not victim's fault, but we can learn from that kind of situations or cases, right? So that's why I want to mention this. At a party, same thing. If I'm with a good friend or someone I really trusted, I will have a little bit more drinks. But if I'm by myself or if I'm just with my colleagues or regular friends, I will probably have one drink and that's it because, they can't take care of me and they are having fun and they are not responsible for everything that might happen to me later on. So I have to be the one who's responsible for myself. As a girl, if I go to a party, I will be really aware of what I drink, what I eat there, because you don't know what's gonna happen, right? That's the difference. As a guy, you can go wherever you want to go and you can do wherever you want to do. The problem is, well, you can be in danger too, but you probably have a little bit lower risk of being in danger than a woman will be. So that's why that's the difference. We're equal in a lot of things, but biologically we're not. And in reality, the whole society doesn't really create a safe environment for women. And that's why our women should be more careful about everything. So that's what I learned from this book. I hope it's not too long. I think my camera is going to shut off or it's already shutting off and there are people around. So I'm just going to end up here and I hope this is not like a nonsense video and if it is, but you know what, it's my first to try about book review and hopefully we'll do this more and I'll get better. So stay tuned. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye.